Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome back, everyone. This is day six of our 30-day sales growth live series. I'm Bharat Ogirala, the sales and mindset coach and the founder of the Sales Gurukul, a premium sales skill development institute in India. Right? Today, we're going to learn something extremely powerful: how to identify real buying intent. Right, that's the topic that we're going to cover today. And before we start, let's do our usual quick check. First of all, tell me if you can all see me clearly and hear me clearly. If yes, just type yes in the chat box, please. Okay, so once you do that, secondly, what I want you to do is tell me the name of the city that you're joining in from, so that we know which city has the most sales energy today. All right. And third and finally, right, so let me know if you are an experienced salesperson or a fresher. Type experienced if you're an experienced salesperson, or just type in fresher if you're a fresher. Okay, amazing. Okay, I see more people joining in. Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Bharat Ogirala. I'm the founder of Sales Gurukul, a premium skill development institute for sales in India. All right. Today, we're going to cover a topic which is very, very important for every salesperson, which is basically how to identify real buying intent. Okay. Great. So now listen carefully, guys. Every buyer gives you signals, right? Sometimes through their words, sometimes through their tone, sometimes to their actions, and sometimes through their silence. Okay. So there are a lot of signals that you can look for if if you really want to know if the customer wants to buy from you or not. But most salespeople, what they do is they don't notice these signals. These are very, very trivial. Okay. They treat every prospect the same way. And that's exactly why they waste most of the time. And today I'm going to teach you how top performers in 2026 spot these buying intent within the first few minutes of their conversation. All right. This is going to make you sell faster, easier, and more predictable. Okay. If you're ready, just type ready in the chat box. Yeah, just let me know if you guys are ready to go ahead and jump into the topic today. Right. And before we dive in, right, please hit that subscribe button for more practical sales lessons every week. I'm going to post videos which are useful for sales tips and then sales insights. And there are a lot of techniques that I'm going to share. For example, recently in the last couple of days, I posted a video about effective objection handling in 2026. Go ahead and watch that video after this, live session. So subscribe that button so that you get notified about my upcoming videos. All right, let's jump into the topic: how to identify buyer intent signals. All right, now, most prospects will never say directly that, hey, you know what, I want to buy your product or service, but they will show it to you through their actions, or through their words, through their tone, through their gestures, etc. And your job as a salesperson is to catch these signals quickly. Okay, let me break it down, and I'll tell you, four types of buyer intent signals that top sellers look for. Okay, the first one is called verbal intent signals, which means what they say. When a buyer is serious to buy something from you, they use certain key phrases. The first one is, how does the pricing work? Or what does the implementation plan look like? Or can we involve our stakeholders, other stakeholders, or probably my manager in our next conversation? How soon can we get started? This is exactly what we are looking for. These are some positive verbal signals that they're giving you, that they're showing their intent to purchase from you. These are green lights. These prospects are evaluating your product or service very seriously. On the other hand, when if they are saying, let me think about it, or we will get back to you, or send me the details, and this is not the right time, which means these are either yellow or red lights for you, which means you should stop wasting your time with these customers. Okay. The next thing is called behavioral intent signals. This is how, how do you get to know about these? Is basically observing what they do during the call. Buyer intent is not only in words, it is also in actions. So if you action, I mean, if you watch any of these behaviors from your customer, for example, they're responding quickly, they are attending meetings on time, they're bringing additional stakeholders onto the calls, they're asking deeper questions or technical questions, and they're revisiting your website or a proposal or even your email, right? They download resources from your website or free other resources about your company, they're watching your demo completely, right, with a lot of interest. So these are signals that they're giving you through their behavior. Slow behavior means there is low intent, but if there is fast behavior, which means there is higher intent in the customer. Okay, that's the second type of intent. And the third one now is called digital intent signals, their online behavior. Especially in 2026, a huge part of intent comes from digital footprints. Tools like your CRM, your email automation system, it could be, HubSpot, or you're using Salesforce, Fresh Sales, Lead Squared, any of these tools that you're using, right? They give you or they show you your buyer intent. For example, you could look at their email opens, how many times they've clicked on the links that you've shared, how many times did they visit your website page or the pricing pages, proposal views, how many times did they view your proposal, and how many times are they getting engaged repeatedly on your website or on your landing pages, right? And how much time are they spending on your pricing pages, especially. So if these, if you see someone opens your proposal for 5 times, which means that that person is seriously evaluating your product or service. When someone is watching your training video or a demo video fully, they are interested, right? And when somebody is viewing your LinkedIn profile, very frequently or regularly, which means they're checking credibility. These digital breadcrumbs tell you exactly where to focus on. These are signals that are telling you that your customer is interested to work with you. You should never ignore them. And the fourth one, right? The fourth intent signal is called emotional intent signal, which means how they feel. You need to watch their tone, their excitement, and their energy when they're talking to you. High intent prospects will always show curiosity. They show agreement. They nod, when you're talking to them. They smile during the conversation. They lean forward with a lot of energy. And then they always, use these positive words like, okay, that makes sense. This looks perfect, etc., etc. So you need to look for that, tone, positive tone. And if they are really not highly interested in, let's say, if they're a low intent prospect, what do they do is they show a lot of distraction. They show rushing. Can you, quickly run me through all of these proposals, right? Or probably they just to use a flat tone, no questions at all. Or they don't, show any emotion at all, zero emotion during the calls. And there is a lot of clarity, a lot of lack of clarity, in their conversations. These are hints that the customer is not a high intent customer, but they are a low intent customer. So don't waste your time there. Okay. Sales is not just numbers, guys. It's actually psychology. Okay. If you understand emotional signals, you will close deals than anybody else. So remember, the sales is not about pushing. Sales is ideally about reading the from your customer and moving the right prospect forward, not just working with 100. Take some questions. Okay, if you guys have any questions, please do share it here in the chat box. I'm gonna take one by one. Yeah, please post your questions in the chat box, guys. Okay, I see one question. He says, okay, Venu says, what if a buyer gives mixed signals? That's a very good question, Venu. Right, mixed signals mean one thing: the buyer is not sure, they are unsure about something. That's when you need to ask them, what would it help if, what would help if I have to share something else that will help you to get more clarity on this, right? Let them open up, ask them, okay, would you need more information about this? Do you want more details about this specifications? Would you like me to send you a detailed report about this? Those are some open-ended questions you need to ask them. And openly ask them, what would help you to get more clarity or to make a better decision on this. They will open up. Pause and wait. That'll work for you. Okay, I see one more question. It says, what if someone looks interested but they keep delaying? Oh, that's a very, very good question, and it happens with almost every salesperson. That means, I mean, if somebody is looking interested and they show that they're interested, but they keep delaying, the next steps, which means that the intent is really high, but the urgency is very low. Okay, so they have the intent, but the urgency is not there. Or they are either not the decision maker. Now what you need to do is you need to create the urgency through those impact questions. Ask them, hey, if you don't act on this for the next 6 months, what is going to be the impact? Right? If you don't act on this particular problem, what is the result that's going to come? I mean, what would happen in the next 3 months? Ask these kinds of impact questions. Right? If you don't fix your customer retention rate today, what is going to be the impact on your overall revenue this year? Ask these kind of questions and people will get engaged. Okay, now next question I see is, how do I know if someone is being polite to me but they're declining? That's also a very good question, and it happens almost with everybody. Right? Polite prospects usually do not show commitment, which means, how you can make out if they are really polite, politely trying to avoid you. You just have to ask them a small action. Right? Ask them, hey, Mr. Prospect, can we fix our next follow-up call on the next Friday? Are you okay at 8 p.m. next Friday? Most of the time, if they're not serious, they would say they will avoid it. Right? If they're not serious, they would agree if they're very serious. That's simple as that. You just need to ask those right questions to them. Okay. Wonderful. Any other questions, guys? Okay. I don't see any other questions, but before we wrap up, right, I want to tell you something. Intent or buyer intent is the strongest indicator of who will buy from you. Once you start identifying these intent signals, your pipeline becomes much cleaner, right? A cleaner pipeline is much better than a messy pipeline or a heavy pipeline. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to do two things. The first one is I want you to take up and join my free course. It's called Sales Success Blueprint. This is going to give you the foundation of becoming the top 1% sales professional. In this course, I'm going to cover all the trivial topics of sales process, starting from prospecting, lead generation, objection handling, negotiating, proposal writing, and closing the deals. So you will understand everything in depth, and also I've given you a real-time examples that you can relate to your industry. Okay, I'm going to share the link in the description after this session. And also, I'm going to conduct a free live masterclass on the Saturday at 11 a.m. Okay, I'm going to share the link for registration as well. So you go ahead and register for that webinar as well. In that webinar, I'm going to teach you live frameworks to increase your confidence and pipeline speed. All right. And most importantly, hit the subscribe button right now so that you will receive powerful sales tips every week to grow your sales career faster. Okay. And go back and watch that, how objection handling tips or mastery for 2026. That's a recent video on my channel. Go ahead and watch that video now. Thank you very much for joining day 6, and tomorrow in day 7, I'm going to talk about the 10 questions that will instantly build trust. Okay, so we're going to cover this topic tomorrow, so don't miss it. Join sharp at 9 p.m. IST. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a nice evening.